So I decided to title this video, What Would Sav Do? And I'm sorry if that offends you, but hang with me for a second and let me explain. Obviously, you remember those bracelets that were really cool back in the day, the WWJD, right? I remember I had a few of them, different colors. I think I finally ended up settling on a black one with white letters and a white one with black letters, and I wore them at the same time. I thought I was cool. Allen Iverson wore one on each wrist while he was playing. It was a cool thing. Obviously, it started as a reminder, what would Jesus do? But it kind of became a fashion thing. Whether people wore them for the right reasons or not, the purpose of them was that Jesus was our example, right? When Jesus walked on this earth, he was the example of how we're supposed to walk on this earth, the way we're supposed to treat people, the relationship we're supposed to have with God. He was our example. This Sunday is Easter, and on Easter, we celebrate the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. This Sunday is also Savaughn Jordan's birthday. Significant, first and foremost, because it's our first April 12th without Savaughn, and the first day celebrating his birthday without him. It's also a little extra significant for me because me and a coworker of mine, Derek Schrader, we used to talk about wanting to do a Black Jesus for Easter at Living Word. Our obvious choice of who we wanted to play Black Jesus was Savaughn. We could come out of the grave like singing and praising, and it would have been so much fun. And I don't think we ever seriously pitched that or ever really gained any traction with that idea, but it was kind of something that we talked about back in TV, and obviously something that's not going to happen now. These last couple months since Savaughn passed, I've really thought more about Sav and talked with more people about him. And the more I do that, the more I realize how much like Jesus Sav really was. In fact, he would have been the perfect person to play Black Jesus. I actually almost titled this video Black Jesus, but then I was looking back at old videos, and I did one a couple of years ago that I called Black Jesus. So if you want to look that up, you can see what I was talking about then. Had nothing to do with Savaughn. But in this one, I went with what would Sav do? Because like those WWJD bracelets were a good reminder to always see how Jesus would react in a certain situation. But I didn't walk the earth when Jesus walked the earth. And I can read the Gospels and I can see how he reacted in those situations, but it's not always easy to translate into modern day situations, especially when you didn't know him like that, if that makes sense, right? I'm not saying you don't know him, because we do believe we have a personal relationship with him. Jesus is not dead, yes, but I didn't walk the earth with him. I walked the earth with Sav, and I saw how Savaughn acted in certain situations. And the more I think about it, and the more I talk to people about Savaughn, the more like Jesus Savaughn really was. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this. When I read the gospel stories, I could see Savaughn acting just like that. The first one we talked about was when the kids came to Jesus and the disciples tried to send him away. And he's like, no, let the kids come to me. This is important. He wanted to spend the time with the kids. The disciples were like, no, we have more important things to do right now, Jesus. And Jesus was like, I don't care. Bring the kids to me. If you know Savaughn, that's exactly what he would have done in that exact same situation. The next level story we talked about was the woman with the issue of blood. Right? If you know the story, Jesus is actually on his way to heal some guy's daughter. And he stops because the woman with the issue of blood touches his coat. And he stops and says, who touched me? And his disciples are like, Jesus, there's a lot of people touching you. Let's go. We got to heal this guy's daughter. We don't have time for this. His daughter's sick. And Jesus took the time for this lady, made sure she was healed, made sure she understood her healing, made sure she was whole first. The thing is, I could see Savaughn doing that exact same thing. In fact, I've seen him do things like that, where he's on his way to do something, to have a meeting or do something, and he gets sidetracked because he's talking to somebody. Because people were important, and whatever that other thing was, maybe it wasn't as important as who was with him right now. So as I look back on the life of Savaughn, I see how much like Jesus he was. And what gets me is, I see myself as the disciples in those stories. I see myself as, if Savaughn, let's say, we were in that situation where the kids come to him, I could see myself being like, Savaughn, we don't have time for this. We have more important things to do. No, let the kids come to me. I could see myself walking to the daughter's house and having the woman some, and Savaughn stopping and ministering to her, and me saying, come on, Savaughn, we don't have time for this. I was always trying to get him to grow up, to be more responsible. Looking back on his life now, I can truly say that Savaughn had it right. He knew what was important: people and worshiping God. I spent the last few years trying to help Savaughn grow up and be more responsible. But now that I look back, he was teaching me how to be more like Jesus. Savaughn had it right, and now I'm just trying to be more like him.